In this week's Nature News, a new tarantula species discovered. The heaviest animal to ever live was not a blue whale, but twice the weight of a blue whale. The oldest flying reptile that lived 107 million years ago, and more. Enjoy! Hey mammals, welcome to another Nature News. Finally, took forever to film this video, but here we are. Let's just dive right in, no time to waste. We're starting with wildlife, as we always do. So, as you heard in the intro, they have discovered a new tarantula species. And now, a lot of people are like, put off by spiders.
Oh, that's scary.
And all that. But no, not on this channel. Spiders are amazing, spiders are epic, incredible, and very important to the ecosystems, alright? So, we won't ever skip any news about spiders. A new tarantula species was discovered, alright? This one has golden hairs. That is why this tarantula is called the Persian gold tarantula. Scientists found this new tarantula in northwest Iran. This tarantula is of course unique because I think this is the only tarantula that actually has these golden hairs, which looks very fancy. It is very important that we discover new species. First of all, it's exciting. It's literally discovering what animals live among us, or actually we live among them. And it's not only exciting, it's also very important to wildlife conservation. The more we know animals, the better we know nature, the better we can protect it. That's basically the bottom line of wildlife conservation, and why it is so important that we discover new species, and not only discover them but also get to know as much as possible about them. And by the way, if you are new here, which you probably are, and you're a real nature freak, I invite you to join us on our mission to make the planet green again. So kill that subscribe button like a wild animal and become part of this amazing journey. And then of course spiders in general are very important species to the ecosystems. Yeah, and this is the thing about animals like spiders. The average human doesn't know how important spiders are to an ecosystem because they never see wild spiders and they never see them in action, so they don't know how important they are. You know, same goes for ants, bees. They're the foundation, okay? And even in your house, in your room, if you see a spider, that's actually a good sign, okay? That's a sign of health, it's a sign of life, that's a sign of an ecosystem, almost, you know? What do you want? One little spider in the corner of your room, like right there, boom? You don't even notice him. Or a freaking mosquito that destroys your sleep. That spider can go and catch that mosquito in his web, alright? That, or flies, or irritating bugs. Bugs. That's another, you know, upside about spiders. Don't squash or kill spider when you see him. Just let him be, alright? Yeah, having spiders in your house is actually a healthy sign. If you don't have a single little animal, spider in your house, what are you doing, man? That is a bad sign. That is a sign of fucking too many toxic fumes.
Breathe in the toxic fumes and you'll probably die.
Toxic fumes?
Like chemicals, and your house is too clean. It's overly clean, it's not healthy. Because, you know, if certain life forms don't want to settle in your house, that's a bad sign, alright? Spiders. But they are our friends in the end. One of the things that make tarantulas maybe so scary is they're hairy. But let me tell you about these hairs. Why do tarantulas have hairs? These hairs on tarantulas' bodies are very important. Tarantulas' eyesight is really bad, but they make up for it with their hairs. They sense the world around them, not with their eyes, but with those hairs. They feel every single tiny little vibration in the ground. If a little animal walks by, that tarantula knows if it is a potential prey or enemy. The tarantula can know how far away that animal is, how big that animal is. That's how important those hairs are. They are their primary sense.
Look at all these hairs that line the legs. Incredibly fine. Those are incredibly sensitive to vibrations, so much so that she could sense the footfall of a tiny insect as it passes close by to her.
That's how they maneuver around. Sometimes also, by the way, other tarantulas, I know there are tarantulas that actually make a web all across the whole freaking forest floor. They set like a trap on the ground, you know, and if one hair gets triggered, that may be an indication of potential food, alright? If an animal, a smaller insect or a smaller spider walks by and actually, it's like a tripwire, that's what it is. If the animal hits that, the tarantula knows, alright, something's up. If the animal walks closer and closer and closer, all of a sudden, bam! Gone. And that is also, they're ridiculously fast tarantulas. So they're so amazing, awesome, they're crazy. Also, they also use those hairs as a defense mechanism. They actually kick up those hairs with their back legs and they get caught in the wind. Then they get in the enemy's eyes and stuff. And that itches like freaking crazy.
And then these other hairs at the back of the abdomen, those, if you look at them under a microscope, are barbed. She'll kick them up into the air and they get into the nose, the eyes, the throat, and they're a fantastic defense.
And that is how sometimes tarantulas fight off enemies. That is spiders. Vamonos, mammals. Let's move on to the next topic. Oh, this is amazing. This is something I have discovered. We all know the blue whale was and is the biggest animal that has ever lived. But what I told you, this wasn't true. I was actually pretty surprised. There was an animal that was even, well, yeah, bigger, at least heavier than the blue whale. That is also, it depends on how you measure it. Just mass or weight or length. But in terms of weight, this was the heaviest animal, I mean the biggest animal to have ever lived. Bigger than a blue whale. This was a whale, another whale of course, that lived 40 million years ago. That was actually twice the weight of a normal blue whale. Or even the heaviest blue whale, like the big ones. They're all big. Anyways, this ancient whale is called, let me pronounce this right, Prehistoric colossus. If you have colossus in your name, okay, that's a sign that it was a really big animal. They don't call it colossus for nothing. Yeah, biggest animal ever. Dude, let me tell you the weight of this freaking beast. So of course, twice the weight of a blue whale. That is 3 times the weight of an Argentinosaurus. Arguably the biggest, heaviest dinosaur to have ever lived. So this is about the weight of an average blue whale. And then double that. That is Prehistoric colossus. They found 13 vertebrae, 4 ribs and 1 hip bone. They discovered this skeleton years ago, but the skeleton wasn't intact. They still needed to complete that skeleton and research it more, and now they've come to the conclusion that this was in fact the biggest animal to have ever lived. That is how they discovered it. What also amazes me, it's a freaking mammal, not a dinosaur or something. Like, you know, dinosaurs are known for their size. T-Rex, Brachiosaurus, what else? Hedzegopteryx, heaviest animal, or yeah, biggest animal to ever fly. You know, Argentinosaurus, as I just mentioned. Mosasaurus wasn't a dinosaur but marine reptile, but a mammal.
Hello, mammal!
What the hell? A mammal. It was a mammal still today. Mammals are the biggest, and just in general, mammals are crazy. Mammals are all over the place. Small, weird, crazy, colorful, big. And then again, of course, the heaviest animal, biggest animal to have ever lived was also a mammal, which is crazy, which is our group, you know. So now they're looking for a skull and teeth. Those things are on top of the list, because then they can discover what this animal ate to grow so big. How in the hell was it possible that an animal could get so ridiculously large and heavy, up to the point where it was twice the weight of a blue whale? So yeah, that is what they're after now. They would help unravel the mystery of what Prehistoric ate to grow so large. So yeah guys, there you have it, the biggest animal to have ever lived, 40 million year old, Prehistoric colossus. Pow! This is a major topic. This is important. I will never skip a topic like this. I'm not going to talk too long, because this is a topic that I could talk about forever. And because this is really freaking important. Probably the most important topic of this video. This is about, of course, the warming planet, climate change. This is a more specific topic. It's actually about bees. Bees, yes, bees. We all know bees. We all like bees. Honey bees, bumblebees, whatever. Just bees. Your typical honeybee. It is not going great. Actually, it's going terrible with our bees. With our bee populations. They are absolutely dying out rapidly. And this is very, very dangerous. This is a million times more dangerous than it sounds. Because bees are the foundation of so many ecosystems. The insane heat rages on. Alright? Bees are dying rapidly, la la la. This time, for example, it was reported in Arizona, where a lot of bees suddenly died. This time it was in Arizona, but it's happening all over the world. Bees are dying off, and if it's not just because of the heat, it's because of another problem caused by climate change. Because bees are very fragile. They're a fragile species. They are one of the species that are most impacted by climate change. This is very difficult because on one side they're one of the most important species on the planet, but at the same time they're one of the most fragile species. And that is why this is major. Homes have melted. Literally their homes are melting because of climate change. This is literally what it says. Homes have melted and bees incinerated. Bees are literally getting incinerated.
Incineration.
Our planet is being turned into a living hell. But of course, bees are not the only species that are affected by climate change. This is very obvious. In the end, every single living organism on this entire planet will be affected by climate change in some way or form. And that means you and me as well. Yeah, there's another, this is not one species, but a habitat, and that is coral reefs. That's another part of nature that is very fragile and heavily affected by climate change. Like 50% of the world's coral is already bleached. Coral bleaching is literally when a coral, colorful, beautiful coral reef turns white and literally dies. It turns into a skeleton. That happens all over the place. It's very tragic. Yeah, whole climate change, it's all driven by greed, human greed and selfishness, injustices and all this stuff that is not right and imbalanced. That is one of the biggest lessons that we need to learn from nature, and that is balance. If there's one thing that is so beautiful about an ecosystem, is that it is balanced. It's so complex, but perfectly balanced. If you just leave it, that's what we need as well. Balance in terms of wealth, power. Not one idiot that has all the power, all the might, or a small group of idiots that can make all the important decisions. No. Some people have $100 billion on their bank accounts. Other people don't have a fucking bank account. They got a couple grains of rice to go on. That's where it all starts. And the whole planet is eventually affected by that. So, why are bees so important? Bees are the foundation of the stability of planet Earth. If bees were to disappear, boom, like that, all the bees on the planet gone, everything would collapse eventually. Literally everything, every kind of system, especially food systems, in nature and for us, because we are part of nature. Do not forget that. We live and we act like we're not part of nature. Nature is something else outside our world. No, we have created our own little human world inside the real world, and we have forgotten the real world. That's what it seems like. Because otherwise we wouldn't be so stupid to neglect and ignore nature.
You know what? I reject nature. Leopard seals. Nature's snakes.
Aren't snakes nature's snakes?
Yeah, the whole planet would collapse. If bees go extinct, they're absolutely necessary. They are a keystone species to any ecosystem. Or, well, a shitload of ecosystems around the world. I will make more in-depth videos about bees and ants and the little things about nature that are not little at all. That we seem to think of as small and insignificant, a little, or a tiny little bee, a little insect. What could that possibly do for us? But in reality, that is the very reason why you are able to live the way you do. Because of these animals that are literally working 24/7. They're living their lives. They are ridiculously important. So more videos about this will come. Alright, so let's move on. Vamonos, memos. Woo! This is epic. Move on to prehistoric news. This is always epic. This always amazes me and yeah, excites me. So, this is about the oldest flying reptile ever. The oldest flying vertebrate. It's a pterosaur, of course, that lived 107 million years ago. They found these pterosaur bones in Australia. Yeah, these are the oldest pterosaur bones ever found in Australia. And they reveal that this was the earliest, the oldest flying vertebrate ever. It's so epic how much we can learn from fossils. How we can still, although it was, as I said, 107 million years ago, that we still can discover things about that time. It's just crazy to think about that. The giant creature was the first vertebrate to evolve the ability of flight during the Mesozoic era, which started around 252 million years ago. Woo! Pterosaurs are one of my favorite animals ever. They are so iconic, they are so crazy. They're one of the most almost like confusing animals to look at. A T-Rex is like, you know what you're looking at. Two big parts, big body, long tail, ridiculously big head, bull neck, a shitload of teeth. T-Rex, very iconic. But a Quetzalcoatlus or something, or a Hexagopteryx. What is that? Okay, this is what you gotta do. You have to take someone that doesn't know shit about dinosaurs, preferably someone that has never seen a pterosaur. Show them a picture of a Quetzalcoatlus and then see their reaction. That like shows you how freaky and crazy pterosaurs are. Just take a Hexagopteryx for example. Picture this. Ancient reptile that lived tens of millions of years ago. That is as tall as a giraffe. That means 6 meters high. That has wings and a wingspan of up to 12 meters. 12 meters. A beak of 2 meters. A neck that is 1 meter thick that could swallow you whole. And if you see that flying over your head, what the hell will go through your head? And that is a giant pterosaur. Can it get even more crazy? I don't know, man. Yeah, that is just why, you know, pterosaurs, and especially Esdarchids. And Esdarchids are pterosaurs, but they are the big pterosaurs. They are called Esdarchids. That is why they are one of the most crazy, in my opinion, one of the most crazy animals to have ever lived. And they weren't even that heavy. Let's say a Hexagopteryx was around 250 kilos, which is still heavy, but for an animal that is as tall as a giraffe, and again, a wingspan of up to 12 meters, that's not that heavy. But of course, that is on purpose, because their bones are hollow, they are designed for flight. And you can't do that with a body that weighs, I don't know, 20,000 kilos. That was the last topic, and there was already nature news. Maybe in the future I will, you know, add more topics to nature news, but right now I just want to make sure I get through it a little bit more quick and faster and just pow, 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 go, go, go. You know what I'm saying? I can easily make a video that's half an hour long. That's just not practical. Alright, mammals, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned stuff from this. I mean, it is always epic and crazy. I really try to, you know, find the most epic and most exciting topics to talk about. Alright, I try to also vary it. Some topics are just epic and awesome, and other topics are very important. Stay tuned, of course, every week there will be one nature news. If you want some more like information about animals, like in a fast package, check out Wild Facts. Check it out. I'll leave the playlist in the description. Alright, mammals, that is it. I gotta say what I always say. Let's make the planet green again, and I will see you in the next video. Let's go wild. Woo!